Hello, I'm Bert Bassett. I've been a business seller on eBay for over 20 years. I even worked for eBay for 11 years. I've helped thousands of sellers of all sizes to grow their sales on eBay, and now I'm creating videos to help you. In this video, I'm going to talk high level about eBay advertising. As ever, a quick summary at the beginning in case you don't want to watch the whole video or you're not sure what content in this video is for you. So firstly, I'm going to show you that you should use the sales performance report to monitor your advertising rather than necessarily focus on the individual advertising reports which are available on eBay. And the sales performance report is in the performance tab of Seller Hub and then the sales tab of that performance tab. There's a button that says download now, and you can click that and it'll give you that report. Then I'll talk about shop ads. The summary here is I haven't seen them work yet for any account, but that doesn't mean they won't work for you. Then we'll talk about offsite ads. At the moment with offsite, I'm a little bit grumpy because it's paying for what you used to get for free. eBay's always run adverts externally. Now they're getting you to chip in. But it's a leopard in the jungle situation, like the very old joke. A leopard jumps out on two men, Fred and George. Fred starts running and George says to him, "You'll never outrun a leopard." At which point Fred says, "Yeah, but I'll outrun you." It's now a case of if you have to pay for it, then maybe I should pay for it if my competitor isn't. Then we'll talk about promoted listings general, which used to be called promoted listings standard. And the broad themes here are that 2% is better than 0%, and that you should start low with your campaigns, grow them gradually percent by percent, and then monitor performance and stop if it's not working for you anymore. Then we'll go on to promoted listings priority. And the big thing here is not to fall for the vanity of loving those high up positions in search that you get for promoted listings priority, but to test and learn. Now, there's a lot of depth in advertising, so I'll probably do future individual videos on all of these topics. But for now, this is just a good way to set up your thinking and how you're going to approach advertising on eBay. I've realized with these videos that an important part of them is also me just talking about a different way of thinking about eBay to the one you may have. A really important thing, something I've used for many years, is the idea that facts beat opinions. You will have loads of people telling you stuff, including me, and ultimately everything is testable. And almost every video, I'm going to show you how you actually test things that you assume are correct. And the other thing I'm going to start talking about a bit more is the idea that facts sometimes beat what eBay tells you. Why is eBay giving you certain pieces of advice? And why might you be the exception to the advice and the rules that eBay give you? Because there most certainly are exceptions. And what happens is people get into a bit of a rut of thinking about what they believe rather than what they know. So on to the serious stuff. Ultimately, no matter what ad reports tell you about things like return on ad spend or average advertising cost to sale, ROAS and ACOS, all of those various reports, those don't mean anything. Turnovers for show, profits for dough. So you can look at all those reports, and when we get into the detail of each ad format, we'll go through that in a future video. But overall, you really have to take that sense check. You have to look at the facts, and that comes from your sales report. So you're in Seller Hub, you're on performance, you go on to sales. Now, overall, you're going to see this number, which is, here's your total sales, here's your net sales. I was on holiday in September, so the shop was switched off for quite a while. 24.1% was my cost of sale. So that's my final value fees and everything like that added to my ad fees. When you scroll down, you can get another little looky-loo at this because you have a selling cost box. You can click on this little arrow and it will break it down. Where did that money go? £136 in fees, £26 in ads, of which 24 was general, 165 was offsite and so on. Breaks it all down for you. And again, this can be a valuable thing for you to look at and monitor. That percentage is a fundamental business metric for you. But when you're going to be doing ads of different types, and actually later on we'll layer other promotions that you can do into this, this is just a great place to have a look. However, it's not the be all and end all. What you really need to use is this download button here. It's also at the top of the page as well. And when you download this, you download a listing sales report. So you click on this and you're going to get yourself some Excel. And this is the Excel. I've made it bigger, so it's actually a little bit visible on a YouTube screen, but you'll see it for yourself when you download the Excel. It shows you all of your listings. It tells you how many you've sold. It gives you the sales. It breaks down all of the eBay part of everything that you do. So it tells you total selling costs, and it says what's the insertion fee, what's the upgrade fee, what's the final value fees, all of these new charges like regulatory operating fees and things like that. But it also breaks down how much you spent on promoted listings and on the different types of advertising that you can actually do. So it really breaks it down by item. Now, why is that important? Because actually, with a little bit of work, what you can do is strip this report down a little bit, and you can add in your other metrics. You can add in what your cost of goods is. You can add in your overheads. You can add in your postage. You can divide that by the amount of transactions you do. And from this, you've got a profitability report, which breaks down what's going on with all of your advertising. Which means if you try some advertising and you try different types of advertising at the same time, or even if you try it in combination with amending your prices, either by just changing your price or by using a promotion, you can start monitoring. You can say, actually, when I did this combination of things, ultimately it was less profitable for me than when I did this other combination of things. And you will be able to say, yes, when I did this thing, it made my sales go up by 25%. But was that actually worth it? Because my margin came down by X%. With this report, you're going to get to the fundamentals of what your advertising and pricing and promotions are achieving for you. So I would strongly advise you to use this as a periodic exercise. Get into this report and compare this month after last month. The other thing that's also really important, and I suggest it in all of my things, is to keep a change log for your eBay business, so that when you change something in your business, you know what date and time you did it. So you can always come back to a report like this and say, I changed all my titles on December the 3rd. What happened before December the 3rd? What happened after December the 3rd? Like a change log combined by using reports like this is the way that you find out the facts rather than the opinions. Not what you're supposed to think, but what's actually true. Now to the ad types. So the first type of ad that you can do, well, it's not the first type of ad, but it's the first one I'm going to talk about, is promote your shop. With promote your shop, what you can do is you can either talk about a coupon you're running, or you can talk about the category in which you operate. And then what you do is you just pick your category, so pet supplies, cat supplies, and then it tells you these are the kind of ads that are going to run. And these run in the display slots on various item pages and so on. And in theory, people are going to be sat there looking at, in this case, another cat toy, and they go, "Ooh, there's another shop," and then you click on this. So far, I haven't really seen this work for any client, and I deal with quite a few sellers on eBay. But what does my opinion count? It must work for some people, and it's bound to work for some people eventually. So give it a go. And the other thing you'll notice is that if you don't use these features of eBay, then ultimately in your seller hub under promotions, you will probably get offered some kind of money off or discount to try it. So generally what I'd do is I'd wait until it's really either free or discounted for you to try it, and then just run it. Look at your numbers. There's a report for this campaign. It'll tell you how the individual campaign is doing, but again, you'll be able to check it against your overall numbers using the sales performance report. The next one is promote offsite. So promote offsite means that you give eBay a little bit of money so that external customers can click on eBay ads that are on things like Google search and Bing and things like that. It's a cost per click thing. It decides what the click rate is going to be, and you just set a daily budget and it runs. And the shallow performance data I've seen on this is that it kind of works. You get a good click-through rate. It converts relatively well. I think the problem I have with this is that eBay used to just buy those adverts for sellers and run them anyway. Now they're inviting you to actually help pay for them. So this is something you used to get for free. If you were a good seller, then eBay would advertise you. Now you're kind of being asked to chip in. And so get really angry about it. But get really angry about it is pointless. What's the practical thing you do here? Well, the practical thing you do here is say, in this world now, where previously it used to be on merit, now it's pay per play. If I pay for this and my competitor does not, then it's going to give me an advantage over them. I'm going to be the one featured in these adverts. When people click on a Google eBay advert, it's going to come to my listing and I am going to beat my competitor. So it's very much a competitiveness thing rather than an incremental performance thing. It's the leopard in the jungle thing that I was talking about before. You may not be able to run faster than eBay, but you can run faster than the person who's selling the same type of stuff as you on eBay. Finally, we get to promoted listings. Now, I can talk for days about promoted listings. I was on the launch team for the product, so I know all the ins and outs to it, and I've followed it since it launched, and I left eBay, and all of my clients use it in some way. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of promoted listings campaigns. I will do detailed videos on this, but I'm just going to run through it top level. So promoted listings general, used to be called promoted listing standard, is the cost per sale model. As in, you say to eBay, I'm going to give you an extra % of final value fee if you promote my goods a bit more. And eBay gives you a suggested rate, and that suggested rate is always pretty high. If you take their suggestions, you're often like putting 12% or something like that, which along with your final value fee starts getting your cost of sale pretty high, going back to that original high level key performance indicator, which is percentage of your sales that you're giving to eBay. My out of the bag strategy, and remember, test your own stuff, is that if you do 0 on promoted listings general, then it's like you miss all of the tries you don't take. You will not get any impressions if you don't at least put some money into promoted listings general. When I say any impressions, obviously you'll still get organic impressions, but you won't get any additional ones. And you present yourself with really hard challenge of getting your listings into the top 4 positions in search, because they are prioritized for promoted listings. And actually, they're prioritized even more for promoted listings priority. So if you have 0 in promoted listings general, you get nothing and you won't get anything. If you put 2% in, you will see a step change in the quantity of overall impressions you get. They may be low quality impressions, but there will be a lot of them. So it prevents really good value. Also, it kind of gives you an entry ticket to the higher positions in search, which otherwise you wouldn't have access to. And if you have something that's in position 5, which is the first organic position, then maybe that 2% will bump you up another couple of positions. And positioning search is really important. Like consumers, their eyes roll back in their head, they click on the first thing they see, and the first thing they see is the first result in search. So thereafter, when you move from 2 to 3, the change in what you get is way less dramatic. And 4 to 5 and 6. When someone says, "Oh, I'm not sure whether I should do 15% or 15.5%," that's diminishing returns there. So your big step and what you should probably look at is 2% on everything. If you want to see what happens, just slowly bump it up a percentage at a time and check your numbers. and check your numbers from a profitability point of view, because remember, every click you get on promoted listings could be a click that you would have got organically and not paid for anyway. And that is a rule on eBay at the moment. It's not like Amazon. If you have promoted listings, they cannot appear on the same page as organic and vice versa. Whereas, say, on Amazon, you can have the ad and your organic listing on the same page. But eBay, zero-sum game. You either have an ad or you have organic. So it can be very cannibalistic. So what you need to do is make sure you're looking at those fundamental numbers. Promoted listings priority. This is the cost per click product, which is obviously more risky and probably more expensive for most sellers. Risky because someone can click but not buy and you've still paid for the ad. More expensive because generally it just is more expensive. I think the only exception to that is if you have goods which sell for a very high price, because patently £1 a click is less of an issue for you if you're selling something for £500 than if you're selling it for £5. So priority is often there for the bigger stuff. I'll tell you what I've seen with a load of priority campaigns is your vanity can get in the way, because this really is pay to play. You buy your way to the top of search, because promoted listings priority only really appears in search positions 1 to 4. So if you really want to be the toppermost of search, be number one, then promoted priority is for you. But that's not necessarily profit. There are lots of people making more money in lower search positions because it's not worth paying that extra. And I've seen lots of campaigns where when you actually do the sums on it, it's not really worth it. So this is where the vanity comes in. Loads of people, I want to be top. Sometimes top is not best. But if you go ahead with it, I have very rarely seen a promoted listings priority campaign where some part of it is not pretty successful. And again, that's where the kind of vanity comes into it. Is often what happens is you'll see people and they'll be putting 100 into a priority campaign and it'll be getting them a return of 4 times their investment. If they were to hone that campaign and filter out keywords, generally make it smaller, then it would be more effective. So, I mean, almost a standard rule is whatever budget you're currently spending on priority, if you filter out the bad stuff and focus on the good stuff and cut that budget in half, you're going to have a much more efficient campaign. It's very testable. And the report you want to run is the search query report for your campaigns. Don't bother with any of the others. Look at search query and then be brutal about selecting the keywords that work for you and the keywords that don't work for you. And you can run that report even if you use a smart campaign where eBay run it for you. You can run smart, you can pull that search query report, and then that'll tell you the keywords which are working and aren't working, and then you can build a manual campaign doing that. As I said, it's a very big topic. I can do another video on it, and I will do another video on it. But in general, be very careful about promoted listings priority. General is less of a vanity product. It's much less risky, and it's generally much better investment prospect. So that's the quick summary. And I will do longer videos because there is a lot to talk about here. I'll pick out each of these topics and do an individual video. I know a lot about it. I had a very long career in advertising before I joined eBay. I was the ad director in the UK. I worked across Europe. I worked on Featured First and Featured Plus. I worked on ad commerce, which came before promoted listings, and promoted listings and promoted listings priority. I know the people who work on the product. I'm very familiar with it, and lots of my clients use it. So genuinely, I know bundles about it, and I'll say more. But remember, use your sales performance report, because everything else is kind of vanity. Be careful about shop ads. Offsite ads, know what they're for and accept that. Promoted listings general, I always say give it 2 and then see what happens after that as you go up from 2%. You'll get nothing if you have a 0 on there, 2% is worth it. And actually, again, I have seen campaigns where people have gone up to 15 and it's worked wonderfully for them. So look at your own data. And then promoted listings priority. Be very careful for this. Don't fall for the vanity of the fact that you're in position number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Test and learn. This one you really have to test and learn. And you do that with the search query report. But as I said, much longer video sometime down the line. If you like this video, tell your friends, subscribe and like.